Hello friend, I want to tell you about the Ford Kuga car. The fashion for European crossovers exceeded the expectations of many manufacturers to such an extent that at some point even Ford decided to build its own car. Is the first generation Kuga a successful design? The Ford Kuga is an independent Ford design. This car was designed according to the principles of kinetic design. It premiered in 2008. Shortly after the presentation of models such as the Mondeo 3 and S-Max. The front part of the body is strikingly similar to the styling of both the Mondeo and the facelifted Focus 2. At the same time, a slightly different design of the dashboard was proposed, which resembles the Mondeo and Focus in terms of materials, but differs in shape. The Kuga was built on a slightly modified Ford Focus 2 floor pan. It is therefore easy to expect a fairly extensive but confidently steering suspension. At the front, we get McPherson struts at our disposal, of course, and the rear multi-link axle, colloquially speaking, does the job. To this day, the first-generation Kuga is considered by many to be the best-handling compact crossover on the market. Engines. The choice of engines in this car simply does not suit Ford, which always treats this topic in a cross-sectional way. On the other hand, the manufacturer did not bother much with engines that do not fit this car and that will not sell. That is why the main offered engines were 2.0 TDCi diesels with 136 hydrogen phosphide, 140 HP after facelift, and a more powerful version with 163 HP. Very similar engines, basically the same in terms of design and operation. The only petrol engine offered in the Kuga was a 5-cylinder 2.5 unit produced by Volvo, which reaches 200 HP. The Kuga with this engine is in a sense a sports version of this car. What's broken? We will skip the topic of choosing the right engine right away, because these are extremely different power units and the choice is primarily a matter of taste. All are good and recommended, so the decision depends only on your preferences. The petrol engine is a well-known and refined Volvo design, one of the best in its class on the market. In our engine ranking, we considered it the best. It is very durable and reliable, and the fact that Ford chose it to power the previous Focus RS and ST is a testament to how good this engine is. Apart from the fact that it is a modern engine that was withdrawn solely due to emission standards, it is also a simple and easy to repair design. The 200 bhp version, like the Kuga, is practically free of faults. The only causes of any faults are user negligence. Given the fact that it is a 5-cylinder engine, one must take into account the high cost of some parts or services. It is worth knowing that it also works with a dual-mass flywheel. Remember to replace the timing belt every 180,000 kilometers. In practice, this distance is best shortened to about 150,000 kilometers. The only serious problem with this engine is fuel consumption, which oscillates around 10 to 12 L, 100 km. On the other hand, there is absolutely no complaining about the dynamics. Diesel is a bit different. It is also a very good, proven engine, designed largely by the PSA concern. We considered this unit the best in its class. However, it is expensive to repair, because these happen quite often. It is worth adding here, however, that they are not entirely related to the engine itself. The main problem with the Kuga with diesel is the particulate filter. Many cars no longer have it, because the problem started early, and all kinds of burnouts and repairs usually did not give the desired effect. In addition, users who use the clutch quite brutally, relatively quickly have to reckon with the need to replace the dual-mass flywheel, which in a petrol can withstand even 3 times longer mileage. Problems such as turbocharger or injection system wear are, on the one hand, the norm in diesels with high mileage. On the other hand, it is not common in these engines. The biggest worries of the 2.0 TDCi engine user are usually minor oil leaks and impaired operation of the EGR system. The Ford Kuga is problem-free in terms of drive. Gearboxes, including power-shift automatics, are currently trouble-free. The third-generation Haldex clutch requires an oil change every 30,000 kilometers. The filter should also be replaced every other time. If you take care of it, there is no way the drive will be damaged. The Kuga's suspension is quite similar to the Focus's S. It's relatively cheap to repair and durable, although the rear axle requires a lot of attention. If one element wears out, there may be a minor geometry problem. It's worth replacing the rear wishbones in pairs or even as a set. The situation is slightly different in cars used off-road. If the Kuga is often driven off-road, you can expect faster wear of the rear suspension, steering gear, and even minor damage to the chassis. The most annoying things about the Kuga are the little things that most users don't bother with. For example, the seat upholstery and decorative inserts on the dashboard wear out quite quickly. The peeling steering wheel doesn't look very nice, but to remedy this, it's enough to cover it with real leather. The car's electronics also tend to fail. The radio and air conditioning freeze, and the reversing camera doesn't always work. It's worth checking all this before buying a car. The Ford Kuga is a car that can be considered reliable, and therefore quite cheap to run. Of course, basic servicing will be more expensive than in the case of the Focus, but at the same time cheaper than in the Mondeo. Many of the Kuga's components come from more well-known Ford models, so the replacement market is well stocked. Although this Ford crossover is not particularly popular on our roads, there are no problems with its repairs. We only recommend entrusting care of the 2.5T engines to the best specialists. Of course, but I advise you to try this car. You may be surprised by the fact that the Kuga, despite its size, is quite cramped and has a small boot. It is a competitor to the Qashqai described a week ago, which already in the Plus 2 version surpasses the Kuga in every inch. Kuga is a very good design, quite refined and reliable. As you can see, it is difficult to find any serious flaws in it, and each engine can be recommended with a clear conscience. This is a car for people who value driving characteristics, but are looking for something higher. Something higher is the fashion recently, also on the used car market, so you can expect high prices, but also low depreciation. Thanks for listening to me. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and rate my video. If you know of any problems with this car that I haven't mentioned, be sure to write about them in the comments.
I have good news for you. Now, if you are planning to buy a used car, or learn more about your car, you no longer need to search for the information you need on the internet. We have collected everything in one place for you, on the website carme.pro. Here you can find out everything about the car, what breaks and at what mileage, any problems with engines, chassis or gearboxes, which trim levels are better not to mess with, and how not to lose money buying a used car. You will learn all this on carme.pro.